Shifting focus to East Asia, China's Premier Li Qiang has stated that Beijing is willing to continue to deepen cooperation with North Korea to better safeguard common interests. He has also stressed that China is willing to enhance strategic communications with Pyongyang. According to reports, the Chinese premier met North Korean Foreign Minister Choe Son-Hui in Beijing. It was their second high-level meeting this month. Both sides vowed to strengthen ties, oppose hegemonism and reach consensus on regional and global issues. The talks followed Kim Jong-un's visit to Beijing for the Victory Day parade, where he met Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, speculation is growing that Xi Jinping may attend Pyongyang's October 10th parade, marking the 80th anniversary of the Workers' Party. With us on the broadcast is Dr. Sanjay Kumar, journalist at the Korea Herald, joining us from Seoul. Thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. At the outset, as far as this readout is concerned, what in your assessment are these common interests that are being referred to here?
Yeah, there are common interests, but it's a very measured approach from Pyongyang as well as Beijing, because they have not said something new in their tone. They have not signaled something new, and this is, of course, it is an extended version of the discussion that was about to held after the victory parade and with the attendance of Kim Jong-Un there. So the approach is very measured from both the countries. And from North Korean perspective, they want to send a signal to the US that they are not going to be offensive on their tone. And from North Korean perspective, there is also a Chinese form of diplomacy here working, because China has softened the tone when you see the bilateral summit and the discussion they held few weeks back. They have softened. I mean, China has softened the tone when it comes to denuclearization of North Korea. So this is strategic signaling.
Speaking of that, I was in fact going to address that. We've seen the meeting that has taken place. In the readout, as you've mentioned, there was no mentioning of the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. A lot of people read this as a diplomatic win for Pyongyang, as China has repeatedly raked up the removal of nuclear weapons. And even though Beijing has not formally endorsed North Korea as a nuclear power, what does, in your assessment, in your view, this particular shift signal, and how is Seoul viewing this?
This signals that North Korea somehow is ready to step up the cooperation with China from economic perspective, and they want to use Chinese relationship with North Korea in order to minimize the negative perceptions on UN sanctions, and they want to send a signal to the US also that, look, we are in the dialogue table, we are on the dialogue channel at least. So that is why they are trying to show that to the US as well as China at the same time that we are strategically communicating, and from Chinese perspective it is going to be very fruitful because they have to deal with US in negotiations. But from South Korean perspective, just 1 week ago, Wang Yi and the Choe, the foreign minister of South Korea, met, and there are discussions that they are the highest leadership of South Korea, I mean President Lee Jae-myung and President Xi is about to meet in the APEC summit. So this is this meeting, I mean the Choe Son-Hui's meeting with Wang Yi is coming up with little shock, but South Koreans are still very positive when it comes to see anything happening in the form of dialogue. So there is no setback for Seoul in current times.
In fact, speaking about Lee Jae-myung, what and where do you see his efforts and the olive branch that he's been extending heading to next?
See, from President Lee Jae-myung's perspective, he wants a very peaceful Korean Peninsula, as well as he wants to have a peaceful coexistence with North Korea. And on that front, he is ready to somehow compromise with the denuclearization agenda. That is why he has proposed a rapprochement policy of a three-step policy through engage North Korea somehow. And the DP, the Democratic Party of Lee Jae-myung, looks very determined on this front. And they think that the conservative blocs, I mean the governments of conservative bloc in South Korea, like under Park Geun-hye, under Im Myung-bak, or even the former Yoon Suk-yeol, had not been trying to engage North Korea in a positive way, and instead these administrations were making North Korea more hostile. So he wants to change the pattern, and he wants to go to the dialogue diplomacy, and somehow, no matter the results are negative in current circumstances, the South Korean government doesn't want to lose hope, and they want to keep engaging North Korea. So this is not seen as a big surprise right now, but of course, observers in Seoul, including the government and the NIS, is closely looking on these developments.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus towards more updates coming in. Typhoon Waloi continues to wreak havoc in the Philippines and in Vietnam. Now, according to civil defense officials, at least 24 people have lost their lives in the Philippines. 10 of them were killed in the province of Biliran alone. In Vietnam, meanwhile, 11 people have lost their lives and 17 others are missing. The typhoon has damaged houses and knocked out power grids, and also brought flooding and huge swells before losing some of its strength as it headed towards Laos. Meanwhile, Vietnam has closed airports and evacuated thousands of people located in vulnerable areas. Reports say that the typhoon was generating winds of speeds up to 133 km per hour. Residents from Vietnam have in fact reacted. Let's listen in to what they've had to say.
Quá khủng khiếp, và nói chung là 38 năm trong cuộc đời rồi mới thấy một cái cơn bão nó to và nó giật mạnh như thế. Cả đêm ngủ là không ngủ được, dần tôn là giật đùng đùng cả đêm. Cửa kiếc chỉ là sập, giật cả đêm, nên là cảm nhận của mình thì thấy nó quá ghê gớm, quá sức tưởng tượng.
Bão rít rất mạnh, đã qua gần như là mình ở trên tòa bên chung cư thế này thì gần như bắt qua là người dân là thức cả đêm, và đa số là người dân toàn là víu cửa. Như cơn bão trước thì người dân gần như không thích vít cửa, chứ bây giờ người dân toàn là vít cửa để mà giữ khỏi nó bung đấy. Gọi là toàn khu dân cư là gần như là thức trắng đêm đấy.
Bão thì chứng kiến được nhiều cơn bão rồi, nhưng mà cơn bão này nếu mà báo về sức gió ấy, thì cơn bão này là sức gió lớn nhất từ trước đến tới nay ấy.
With that, viewers, it's a wrap on this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.